All right, well, let's do it. Baltimore 31, Houston Texans 2. 31 to 2. It was an impressive safety from the Texans. Kamari Lassiter, really nice play, diving into the end zone to tackle Derrick Henry. Very impressive. Other than that, though, Ravens absolutely dominated. Lamar Jackson goes 10 of 15 for 168, 2 touchdowns, has another 87 on the ground, including a 48-yard touchdown. And Derrick Henry, man, it felt like every single time he carried, except for the one that ended in a safety, he had a 5-yard head of steam to the second level. He finishes with a buck 47 on 27 carries, 251 total rushing yards for the Ravens. And the Texans, just a rough performance offensively.
Yeah, I mean, the Texans, it's just not functioning right now. That offensive line is a mess. Their receiving core is just Nico Collins at this point. Nico Collins, like, their teams are able to attack one guy, right? So all of a sudden, like, John Mechie needs to be a big part of the offense. Xavier Hutchinson, they just don't have the players that they're able to make this function with. And the Ravens defense, people have been talking about this for a while, but that pivot that they made midway through the season to sort of shore up the deep secondary by putting Kyle Hamilton back there, move him from that sort of slot strong safety role, put him back as a free safety, has made a huge difference. I mean, he massively improves the back end, and that lets them shore up the entire secondary. That's made a big difference to their overall defense. They were suffocating the Houston offense, which itself has been, stumbling over the last few weeks. I mean, this just looked like one team that's kind of hit its groove and another team that's completely fallen out and almost fallen apart at this point. I mean, the Texans are one of those teams that looks like they are limping their way into the postseason.
Yeah, another one of those games where you're watching and you're saying, okay, what would Houston need to do to get back into this? It's 10-0. It wasn't completely dominant from the Ravens early on. The Texans get the safety. Maybe that's going to help from a momentum perspective. Then they get into the red zone, swing pass to Joe Mixon on 4th down, gets stopped right at the goal line. So Baltimore keeps them out of the end zone. They go up 17-2 with another classic Lamar Jackson scramble drill touchdown. Unbelievable play to Isaiah Likely on a 99-yard drive. So how about that, momentum swing, Sam? It's not a momentum swing. It's just a football swing, right? You made a good play, you stopped it, and you made a bunch of other good plays offensively. So they stop Mixon at the goal line, then go 99 yards on 6 plays, capped by Lamar Jackson doing his Lamar Jackson stuff for a 9-yard touchdown. So it's 17-2 at the half. Stroud comes out second half, throws a pick to Kyle Hamilton. It's pretty much all she wrote. Lamar with the 48-yard touchdown, as I mentioned, and just an absolute beatdown by the Ravens. And I think your point earlier was a fair one. It does feel like the Ravens, Bills, and Chiefs all, I don't want to say peaking, but they all look like the best, right? The Bills haven't played their best football the last couple of weeks, but the Ravens are, and the Chiefs are, and we're trending toward these top 3 teams in the AFC absolutely separating themselves.
That touchdown that Lamar Jackson, the one to Isaiah Likely, was that's like a college play, right? Where the guy just wins by being an athlete for 10 seconds. Like he's out in the sort of open field and Donnell Hunter, who's like a top-tier pass rusher. Donnell Hunter and an athlete. Like, Donnell Hunter, the poster boy for, like, hey, you might not need to be a productive college player. If you're a freaky athlete, you can become an amazing NFL player. Donnell Hunter, freaky athlete pass rusher, has Lamar Jackson one-on-one in the open field, and Jackson just, like, extends the play for 5-7 seconds until Likely eventually, ad-libs his way into open space and throws the ball right over the top for a touchdown. Hunter never gets particularly close to making that play. You can't do that in the NFL. Like, the athletes are too good, and Lamar Jackson can. Like, he's one of the few, if not only, players that is capable of doing that. It was like a college or high school level play that Lamar Jackson was able to execute in the red zone against an NFL defense.
Forget who had the hilarious tweet. I think earlier this year, Lamar. So I can't give proper credit, but Lamar looks like the uncle playing football with his nephews at like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Just running around, fooling around. Oh, you can't catch me. It's like me playing with my 4 sons. Yeah, try to catch me, kids. I'm faster than you. I'm bigger and stronger than you. Lamar just playing around. I don't mean to bring it up as far as the playoff aspect of it, but I am always fascinated by that. Lamar could get his 3rd MVP here. and deservedly so. We don't have to break down the whole MVP conversation that people have just lost their
Wrapped
minds
it up.
about. But can he do it in the playoffs? Can he do it against the Chiefs? Can he do it in the AFC Championship? Until he does, I saw people comparing him to Peyton Manning recently. If people can remember 20 years ago, that was the Peyton Manning narrative. And even when Peyton didn't have he was a great regular season quarterback. And even when he didn't have a good playoff run as a player, they still won the Super Bowl. He had 3 touchdowns and 7 picks on his Super Bowl run. But it was like, all right, he got a Super Bowl. He's fine now. He's okay. I mean, Lamar's still going to be fighting back against that. So I hate to diminish anything he's doing. I'm just fascinated to see these matchups with the Bills, potentially with the Chiefs in the playoffs again. And if you get, like, I think it's fair to put Mahomes on the same level as Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen in the regular season. They've outplayed him in the regular season, but now can they put it all together in the playoffs the way the Chiefs always seem to be able to do it? We're going to find out within a month here.
That's why, like, I think the Super Bowl thing is always sort of validation in a way that's always kind of silly. Like Dan Marino, right? Excuse me. Dan Marino, the greatest quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. And it's the sort of thing that hangs over his head. Peyton Manning got a Super Bowl quite early, but then only had one for a guy that is arguably, for his career was arguably the greatest quarterback to ever play. I think for him, the second quarterback the second Super Bowl was an unusual validation because it did hang over him for a lot of his career that he didn't quite play as well in the postseason. And a lot of that was because he went up against Belichick and Brady, and those guys were able to bring that defense to really shut him down. But I think the same thing is true for Lamar now. Like, he has demonstrably been worse in the postseason than he has been in the regular season, where he may be a 3-time MVP. At some point, he does need to buck that trend, even if it is just variance, even if it is just luck. He needs to show up in the postseason and have a run of MVP-like play and maybe get that Super Bowl win. Otherwise, this ends up kind of casting a shadow over his career. I've been paying attention to the Twitter accounts of Dan Orlovsky in particular, because obviously Dano declared the MVP race over a couple of weeks ago when Josh Allen had a really good performance. Coming out of this game, he's wavering. He's like, MVP was over, but then Lamar Jackson had a really good scramble run, so suddenly my vote is up for grabs again. But I think my favorite one of this genre is RG3. RG3, who tweeted after that game, where is it now? RG3 tweeted, quote, "Who said Lamar Jackson wasn't the MVP?" And then he's kind of given the look over his glasses as in, who was foolish enough to do that?
Could it be me, says RG3.
It turns out that the person foolish enough to have done that 6 days before that tweet was, in fact, RG3, who tweeted 6 days before that, NFL MVP front runners, number 1, Josh Allen. Number 2, Lamar Jackson. So it turns out that the person foolish enough to suggest that Lamar Jackson wasn't MVP 6 days before that was, in fact, RG3.
Yeah, that's just peak MVP discourse, man. And we start this nonsense back in like October. Like, oh, MVP. Look at this. Sunday Night Football, MVP performance. Ugh. Sick of it. But either one, honestly, I think Lamar's probably more deserving than Josh Allen. Sorry, Bills fans, but
it's getting
I'm fine either way. Fine either way. I just saw the odds too. Like, Josh Allen's still very much the favorite, and Allen is at a point where if they win against the Jets this weekend, they lock up the 2 seed. They're pretty much locked up as the 2 seed. So it's not. He might have to sit out, and it's one of those like Hayes in the barn. Like, he might just sit out week 18 and be locked in, even if Lamar goes off the next. And then I think they would be locked into the 3 seed anyway, so they could be rested. So it'll probably be wrapped up by this weekend. So Josh Allen has to have a big performance at 1:00 against the Jets to offset what Lamar did, I guess.
The odds moved significantly though in that game, which is kind of funny. The other what was I going to say? The other thing is they showed the kind of stats at the end of that game, and like Lamar's statistics are starting to get fairly difficult to argue against. Like Josh Allen had all the MVP narrative hype.
That's what I told you
last week. The longer we go,
Sam.
I know. the longer we go, the more unimpeachable Lamar's stats are going to end up being towards the end of the season. One last thing I wanted to, because this is a hobby horse of yours, you hate streaming service games because you can't flip channels, right? You can't just easily go to something else. How much, I saw somebody tweet this out, again, I can't remember who, so unfortunately can't credit, but they were like, this is the greatest middle finger that Roger Goodell has ever thrown up to the NBA, right? Not only are we going to drop two NFL games on the traditional Christmas Day NBA landscape, but we're going to put them on Netflix so that you can't even flick away to the NBA game. You are watching the NFL for 6 hours today when you would ordinarily be watching the NBA, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't affect me because I'm not flipping to the NBA. So, but I can imagine, yeah, that is, man, next year, quadruple header. It's on a Thursday. Wait till next year. 1, 4, 7:30, and 10. Christmas Day next year. You just wait. Because LeBron's NBA. Upset. You know, it's our day. Christmas Day. Yeah, you wait.
Carmelo.
So Christmas is on a Thursday.
Saying it as well.
Who was?
Carmelo Anthony. She's like, come on, guys. This is our day. Get out. Leave it.
Yeah. I mean, they just went head-to-head with the college football playoff last week.
With
the same good teams. Yeah. They don't care.
All the traditional, you know, these are the days the NFL doesn't intrude over. The NFL's just said, to hell with that now. We're taking it all over.
They're one step away from dropping Chiefs-Ravens head-to-head with Army-Navy in a couple of years.
Yeah.
You watch. Who cares? Sorry, Army-Navy. Nice tradition and all. It's NFL's day. Anyway, good for the NFL. They help pay the bills too, right? People like the NFL. It's what we cover. So, but yeah, I mean, the streaming services hurt your ability to do anything. What are you going to do? Anything else on this one? It's we didn't talk much about the Texans, but they were sad. Unblocked. I mean, a sack on an unblocked stunt felt like it summed up the season for the Texans, but everything just off on that offense right now.
Yeah, it's pretty rough looking at the moment. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.